Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Your family traditions, culture, and stories are your legacy. So is your health history. Join the All of Us research program and share your health information. Through research, your legacy can help build a healthier future for all of us.
Hello, everyone. This is Jarvis S. Scott with What's Happening in Birmingham. Today, I've got the honor and pleasure, Mr. Truman Fitzgerald, Assistant Public Information Officer for the Birmingham Police Department. Officer Fitzgerald, thanks for coming on today.
Good morning, Jarvis. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you. I know it's been a while since I've had a representative from the police department, but I want to bring you on, as you all are always welcome to come on. And two, as we get into this summer season, just want to kind of go over a few things, and we just have a quick little chat. But
let's do it.
So first, let's start off. I know the most important thing is, people, you read the headlines and you see the numbers and the stats of the latest crime stats in Birmingham. So I got this in front of me, and these are just as of June the 12th. So kind of summarizing, can you give me a quick summary? Because, just break down the different types.
Sure. Well, our Part 1 offenses are classified as the following crimes: murder, rape, robbery, aggravated assaults, which could be someone shot, someone stabbed, a serious assault. Shots, fire calls, we break those down. Our shooting victims, burglaries, auto thefts, and we just combine them as a whole to measure what crime looks like in 2023 compared to what crime looked like in 2022. So for 2023, we have actually seen, and we don't sugarcoat it, we've actually seen an increase in our property crimes, car break-ins. I know you wanted to touch on that, and this would be a great time to touch on that. We have seen an increase in car break-ins. We've also seen an increase in auto thefts. I don't know if you've heard, Jarvis, but there's a defect in a lot of Kias and Hyundais that are making them easily stolen. So we have seen an increase in stolen vehicles. And surprisingly, the stat where we've seen a decrease in is homicides, which to me is always a difficult topic to discuss because it doesn't matter whether it's decreased or increased. Try telling those family members that have lost a loved one in 2023 that homicides have decreased. That would be irrelevant to them because it's not going to bring back their loved one.
Okay, and I'm going to go back early when we was talking about the car break-ins. So most of the reports I've been reading, a lot of them been happening downtown. What do you think has been like the uptick for that, you think, other than what you just stated earlier?
I would say one of the biggest reasons is how successful a car break-in thief can be. And what I mean by that is you're talking thieves are recovering guns from cars, computers from cars, high dollar purses, money. And we do our best to educate the public about securing, your belongings. The most sought out item that these car break-in thieves are after are guns. Our car break-in thieves get a lot of guns from their break-ins. And certainly when you can't legally purchase a gun, you have to turn to other means and methods to obtain a gun. And one of the easiest ways to gain access to a firearm in Birmingham and Alabama, period, is to prey on other gun owners by breaking into their car.
So do you think a lot of that's probably in connection as well with the, with the law being changed, that you really don't have to get as far as like a permit? There's more people carrying now.
That's a great point. I do think that more people are carrying their guns. And what we have to understand as gun owners is that we can carry our guns in the public. However, private property still has their rules and their policies against it. And the tie-in with that is you're seeing a lot of these break-ins take place near establishments such as a bar where you can't bring your firearm in, or a sporting event where the BJCC or the Crossplex or any other Legion Field, just to name a few venues, you can't bring your firearm in there. So these thieves know that the chances of you having a firearm stored in your vehicle are pretty high.
Okay, and then another thing I've been reading in the news lately is, and this is an interesting term to call it, exhibition driving.
Exhibition driving is what you and I and our community members would refer to as individuals getting behind the wheel and doing donuts and burnouts and just any type of just activity you see with individuals blocking intersections. We've even seen them, Jarvis, block off the interstate to do driving. We did. We had an incident 2 weeks ago where a group of individuals blocked off a part of I-59 North and actually did exhibition driving on the interstate.
Oh, wow. And before, I see they recently kind of passed a state law, and from what I read, it's going to effect in August. There was no laws on the books for this.
There was not. So ultimately what you had is our officers were entrusted to go out here in the streets, and ultimately the only tool at their disposal was a traffic ticket.
Okay.
Before the new laws passed, if an officer observed this type of activity, the most he or she had at their disposal was to issue a traffic ticket.
Okay, so, and I know it's downtown, one of the things you all have developed to kind of, you can't be everywhere. But I know especially on First Avenue, you got the speed breakers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Those speed breakers have helped us tremendously. We've actually received a lot of compliments from our residents and citizens that go downtown and hang out. We've gotten great response from those speed breakers with the activity they've been able to decrease. And the good thing that we can report is that it's not going to just stop there. The Birmingham Department of Transportation is looking to expand all throughout the city in hotspots. So we can put those speed breakers down, and it could just be an extra tool in our disposal to prevent this type of activity going on in our city.
Now, another thing I noticed you all have also implemented, I would say installed, is a lot of shot spotters. And, and every time I read an article about, recent shooting, it's always like shot spotters that indicated, how quick is that? Just explain that again, how that works.
Our shot spotter detection system is a system that we have set up in areas in Birmingham. And what that does is it gives us where shots are being fired in real time. Mm-hmm. You have an app on your phone that actually goes off when gunshots are fired. Of course, it's a law enforcement tool, but it's a major benefit to our officers because what we have seen throughout our city is that you have gunshots being fired so frequently in certain neighborhoods that our residents may not even call because the gunshots go on so frequently. They don't want to waste the officer's time, as I've heard so many people say. So what that gun detection system does is it gives you a pinpoint address of where those shots are being fired. And we've had several shooting victims discovered based solely on ShotSpotter.
Okay, I know as we're doing this taping, of course, we're in June, but we got 4th of July coming up. And you know what people love to do when it's 4th of July? Other than fireworks, they put in the ground and they like to raise the guns in there, other than like New Year's Eve. So in the city, that's illegal, correct?
It sure is.
Gunfire.
Sure. Discharging a firearm within city limits is an offense. We have had individuals arrested on New Year's Eve, on 4th of July, where these men or women have actually fired a gun into the air and our officers observed them. I can remember one situation, a partner of mine actually observed a citizen firing a gun in the air in just, I thank God, the restraint that our officers have, because we've seen situations where people have actually gone out and done celebratory gunfire in other cities, and it has led to an officer-involved shooting. So there's just nothing good that can come out of celebratory gunfire. Okay,
and while I got you with me, I always like to joke, you have become more like a social media celebrity now, every time I look at social, you have those videos and you be like updating the community about, have you heard about this case? Are there any cold case updates, you don't have to say specifically, but any ones that you have solved lately?
We have had the pleasure of solving a lot of homicides recently that took place before 2023. I'm very proud of our team in the homicide unit. They have solved cases from, you're looking in the past year and a half, 2 years, they have solved cases dating back to 20 years ago.
Okay.
Within a year or two, anywhere from 20 years ago to big time cases that we had last year. We had a young man, Dwayne Thomas. He was a Carver High School student, and he was shot during a altercation that took place on Tuscaloosa Avenue. Person responsible for this, the shooter, he actually evaded capture for a year. This happened. Sure did. This happened last year. He was able to evade capture for a year, and our homicide unit, as well as our special enforcement divisions, crime reduction team, which is the team that goes out and gets these violent fugitives, they were able to take the suspect into custody actually on his birthday. And actually birthday. So we just want the public to know we will not stop. If we have a suspect out there on the loose, we will not stop until we bring them to justice and get closure for our families.
So the Crime Stoppers, that participation has stepped up a little more?
Crime Stoppers has stepped up a bit. We have seen an increase in tips coming in. I actually have had people stop me on scenes and remind me, hey, I sent in a Crime Stoppers tip, which is amazing, because it shows them, for one, that you are anonymous. There is only one way for a Crime Stoppers person who calls in to be identified. They are never identified by their name. They are never identified by any demographic information. They are issued a number. And the only way that they're identified from the time they call in the Crime Stoppers to the time they get their cash payout. And it is so anonymous and so secretive that if a person ever had a discrepancy with Crime Stoppers and they were to lose that number, there's no way for Crime Stoppers to track back that tip. That's how anonymous Crime Stoppers is. So we just encourage anyone with information. That's the best, the quickest way to get cash. They want to give money out. They're begging to give money out.
Yeah,
they're begging for people to call.
Yeah, I see some up to maybe like 20, 25,000 sometimes, depending on what the case is.
Jarvis, you have cases out here where people can receive anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000. A case that comes to mind is the tragic homicide of Ariel Yarbrough, who was shot and killed on Easter Sunday in Patton Park. Her case is up to about $30,000, $35,000 plus for reward money. And we know hundreds of people were outside and someone saw something. So Crime Stoppers, that's an easy $30,000.
Yeah, and also I read, and I don't know if I have to stop this or edit what I'm about to say, and I'll leave this in. But I think it was a certain, I'm not gonna say person specific name because I don't think you all found the person yet. But I read something about somebody was meeting somebody on Facebook Marketplace, and the person was found in the woods.
That is the horrible case of Jamira Fowler. She was reported missing right before June, and her loved ones hadn't heard from her. She had gone missing from the day before, and our special victims unit reached out to us that Thursday about posting her on social media. And we posted her on social media, and sadly, about 2 hours from the time we posted her on social media, East Precinct officers got a call of a burned body in the 1000 block of Sellers Road. And that's when our officers made the horrible discovery of Jamira Fowler out in East Birmingham.
Okay, that's still pending, right? It's still
pending.
Okay.
Our detectives are working hard on that case. And again, if anyone has any information that will help us out, please call Crime Stoppers.
Yeah, the only reason I asked that because I know you all been busy, and it's like like you said, I've seen a lot of cases that like I read about it, and maybe about 7-10 days later, it's solved. You all apprehended the suspect, boom. That's when I was wondering, I was like, oh, is that resolved? Yeah, they found, so.
And that was such a sad case because she was a mom. She had just a great future, very sweet girl. And just the way that this case came about with us posting her on social media, with the hopes that something may come up, and then her being found a few hours later, the way she was discovered, it was horrible. And it certain cases stick with you. In certain cases, you don't ever want to prioritize a case over another one, but we're human, and naturally certain cases stick with you different. And her case was just different because here you have a mom of two, and her kids will never see their mother again.
Yeah, and also, I guess, as far as, I don't know if you could share some tips on how people, because I've read tips where people say meet somebody at a police station, meet somebody at a post office, because those are normally places that I especially tell people, post office, because post offices are always videotaped inside.
You're right. This is a great opportunity to talk about that and discuss that. Every one of our police precincts in Birmingham are safe meetup spots. East Precinct, North Precinct, South Precinct, West Precinct, even our Birmingham Police headquarters are safe meetup spots. And it's a good way to gauge who you're actually doing a transaction with. Mention going to the police station, mention going to a very public area, because what you can do, you can gauge their mindset. If someone doesn't want to meet you in any of those areas, that's an immediate red flag. Why don't you want to meet me there? All we're doing is a few seconds of a transaction. What do you have against me meeting you at a police station? That right there can give you insight on who you're dealing with. Because we've actually had officers that have mentioned meeting at certain precincts or police stations, and the person has told them no. And that right there just squashed the deal. They didn't follow through with it.
Okay, so one thing I'd be remiss not to mention is, as far as like latest hiring stats, recruitment stats, like how many officers you all have right now? I know things change month to month.
I can release this. We are allotted for 726 officers going into 2024. We are allotted for about 105 sergeants and upwards to about 25 and 15 lieutenants and captains. The biggest issue that we're seeing from a recruiting standpoint is the nationwide trend of people just do not want to go into policing.
Okay.
We understand that. We understand that's a national trend. We understand that our brothers and sisters over on the fire side are seeing maybe the opposite. Mm-hmm. So it's our duty as officers within the field to spread the word about how great of a career policing is. And what I like to tell those interested in becoming a police officer is you can't judge your career based on what others are saying. Yeah, this is a career that comes with a lot of danger. This is a career that comes with a lot of sacrifices. However, there are numerous careers in the United States where you're risking your safety, you're risking your, you're risking your free time. But I'm going to tell you, you will not have any greater career than becoming a police officer. 20-year retirement. You start today, Jarvis, on June 20th, 2023, you would be retired by June 20th, 2043. So, think about that. I mean, that is, a retirement that's going to stick with you for your entire life. And you're talking, you can start at 19, Jarvis, Imagine starting a policing career at 19 and being able to retire with a full pension when you're 39 years old.
So as far as the requirements, I know I love that's a future idea. I need to get the HR person on here. As far as the requirements for a police officer, have you all changed anything as far as athletic requirements, or let's just say if somebody may have had misdemeanor in their past, could they still be eligible? Anything different changed over the years?
We have not changed any of our standards because the standards are actually created by the state of Alabama.
Okay.
And what we have done and what we encourage anyone is there are certain offenses that limit you completely. If you've been convicted of a felony, if you've been convicted of a crime of domestic violence, you're automatically disqualified. That's because a federal law prohibits you from possessing a firearm if you've been convicted of any of those offenses. However, we encourage anyone that's been arrested for a misdemeanor, as long as it's not domestic violence, meet with our recruiters. Talk to our recruiters. You will be surprised at how many officers, and we're not just talking with the Birmingham Police Department, we're talking in the state of Alabama, have had offenses where the state of Alabama looks at it and says, oh, this wasn't a crime of domestic violence. This wasn't a crime involving someone's character or moral turpitude, as the law state, and you can still become a police officer. Don't let that discourage you. So we encourage anyone that's interested, reach out to us directly so we can pair you up with one of our recruiters.
Okay, I know as we in the summer months, any final thoughts you want to, tell the public, and also, phone number for, I wouldn't say reporting crimes, but, get direct if they see something. What's those quote? See something, tell, I can't
something, say something.
Yeah.
The word we would like to get out is, please, Birmingham, help us police our youth. We have entered the 20th day in June, and we have already began to see crimes take place where our youth are victimized. And not just here in Birmingham. We had that tragic incident where the young man was coming out of a mall in Fairfield, and he was gunned down right before the father. And even in Birmingham, we pay attention to trends like that because sadly it's not too far from something like that happening in Birmingham if we don't get the word out there that our youth are involved in activities that are catching up with them. We can't afford to sugarcoat that their behavior is leading up to certain things taking place. We just had 3 teens that were shot or grazed earlier in the week last week. We did some digging, we looked at some facts, and come to find out that we believe these teens were possibly engaged in criminal activity, and they were fired upon. We're very thankful that they did not lose their life. However, I myself have lost one of my good kids who was in my neighborhood that I was patrolling. I lost him because he was trying to break into someone's car and he was shot. And his case is going to stay with me forever. And it happened during the summertime. So we got to get the word out to our youths. Please watch the activities that you get yourself involved in this summertime, because we are living in a day and age where, one bad decision can cost you your health and honestly cost you your life, Jarvis.
And one thing I want to add too before we end is that I want to say the kids, but just the public, that they're watching. I mean, there's cameras everywhere, and especially downtown Birmingham. If you're watching this and you're breaking into cars, eventually you will get caught. Somebody will find out,
Exactly. And our car break-in thieves are putting, our community members, honestly, in a prison. People are scared to come downtown sometimes. Our residents downtown are afraid to I've had residents tell me they were even afraid to lock their car or roll their window up because they feel as though they're going to the thief is going to cost them more money breaking their window out than they would if they actually was able to see, hey, there's nothing in here for me to take. And what I can say is that our officers are going to be out here this summertime. We're very fortunate that we have task forces at our disposal. I'm always receiving calls from our dispatcher about our officers catching these thieves in the act. We just caught car thieves in a car chase recently. If our officers are out here on patrol and you're out here breaking into these cars, I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time before we catch up with you.
Okay, so Officer Fitzgerald, what's that phone number? If they try, you know, say, yeah.
If you see anything take place in the city of Birmingham that raises your attention, the first number I'm going to tell you to call is 911. Okay. You will be surprised how much takes place in our city and nobody ever calls in. The incident with the exhibition driving on the interstate, we received 0 calls on that.
Wow.
And I just want the public to understand our officers cannot be everywhere at all times. We're answering calls, we're patrolling hot spots. There are times where we're just not in certain areas. And when you have a situation like that on the interstate, no one called. So please, first number, call 911. If you feel as though it doesn't rise to the level of an emergency, I'm going to give you our non-emergency number, which is 205-328-9311. That's our non-emergency number, 328-9311. Okay. And if you have any tips on any crime that's taken place in your neighborhood, if you witnessed a shooting, if you witnessed a car break-in, a robbery, any type of those serious offenses, always know that Crime Stoppers is here for us. You can remain anonymous, and get this, Jarvis, you can receive cash for your tip. Some of these crimes are paying out $20,000, $30,000, and on a regular basis, up to $5,000. 205-254-7777. 254 and all 4 sevens at the end.
Yeah, I might put that number on the screen. He said call 911. That is true. Yeah, call 911. And something I'm going to say, I think you can't say, is take your guns out your car, people.
I would say it. Please take
your guns out the car.
Just remember this. We owe our fellow community members a duty as gun owners to be as responsible as we possibly can. And one tip that I would like to give, if you do go to a place, I'm not going to tell you not to bring your gun, but just be mindful of where you store it. Try to make it as difficult as you possibly can for those individuals who choose to break into these cars. If you can, get into the trunk, put it underneath that spare tire if you have one. Make it as hard as you can. These thieves want to be in quick and get out. The harder you make it, the longer you make them have to work, the less stuff they steal, and the easier they say, you know what, this isn't worth it, I'm getting out of here.
And another thing too, I promise this to be my last
thing.
I always like to tell people, this guy go way back. I'm so proud of, you know, your hard work. And I'm telling you, this guy works hard, you know, everything. But I'm going to say this too. If you all are if you're out about this summer and you're having a dispute with somebody, just leave. Do not use your gun, and then also do not fire into an occupied vehicle, because
Jarvis, you were just every point that you bring up extra are just amazing points. And we tell people all the time, the argument is not worth it. It's just not worth it. You're dealing with, you know, a society where people are automatically pulling guns out to solve the most simple arguments. So if we know that ahead of time, we have to be responsible to our, you know, our family, our friends, ourselves, to say, you know what, this just isn't worth it. Even if it seems as though it's the smallest argument, ask yourself, is this worth either me losing my life or me having to defend myself? And oftentimes, the easiest decision to make is just walk away.
Please walk away. And don't try to take the law into your own hands and say, well, this was self-defense. Well, it's not self-defense if you're shooting at a vehicle or self-defense where you're shooting and like you said, once you shoot that gun, you can't tell that bullet to come back to you because that bullet has to end somewhere, even if you shoot up in the air.
You can't. We've seen homicides take place in our city over less than $20. Over $20. You know, disputes over, you cut me off on the roadway. Disputes over, I don't like what you said about me on social media. You're seeing those small disputes lead to us losing our Birmingham community members at an alarming rate. And just like you said, Jarvis, it's not worth it. Chief Thurman has a quote that he always offers to the public, and it's easier said than done, but it's stop and think. And I'm telling you, we would just stop and think, so many of these tragic situations wouldn't take place. Just stop and think, is this worth it? I myself have had to stop and think. You know, a lot of people don't realize we as officers, we go through the same frustrations, we go through the same interactions with people in our daily lives, and we do our best to just stop and think. I've had situations where people have came at me full speed on the roadway, and I'm upset, but I said, you know what? I'm not going to honk my horn. I'm not going to be confrontational because I know people are out here and they're crazy.
Oh, yeah. And I want to say, too, thank you all for the sacrifices you all make. I mean, I'm going to say this next thing. You have to put up with so much, and the pay is nice, but the pay could be better.
Thank you.
You know, that, want to thank you all for because, like, if you talk to any officer, like you said, like you went back earlier, about, you can start here for about 20 years and get fully pensioned. If you talk to most of the officers that's promoted, went for the ranks, they all started at the city of Birmingham at some point.
They sure did. That is an excellent point. We've had officers that have gone as far as the Secret Service. We've had officers that have joined the FBI. I can think of a young officer that we had recently. He was at West Precinct. He got positioned with the FBI. One officer that I work with directly, he got a job with the ATF. So don't always think that if you start in Birmingham, you have to remain in Birmingham. And that's just me giving you just facts. I would love for you to stay here 20 years. I would love for you to give us, all the years of your service, but just know you're going to receive so much training here in Birmingham that you're going to be able to have job opportunities for the rest of your life based off the training that you're going to get here at the Birmingham Police Department.
Okay, well, Officer Fitzgerald, probably my last question. Thank you for coming on today. Always welcome to come back and tell Chief Thurman I say hello. Thank you for the job he's doing as well. Thank you all for watching. Please check out what's happening Birmingham.com for more interviews. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out the audio version of this on Apple Podcasts. Thank you all again. And stop and think, Birmingham. That's my last thing I'm going to say. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jarvis.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.